This is a political chess match, and the stall tactic is in play.
A political chess match over what's grown to be the state's largest homeless camp. And today, Spokane County Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich announced his next move. He plans to clear out the camp at I-90 and Freya by mid-October. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. I'm Cody Proctor. Let's get started tonight. The sheriff outlined his plan to take matters into his own hands today at a press conference where he wasn't afraid to point fingers at who he thinks is to blame for the growing crisis. Immediately after the press conference, our team at KREM 2 started reaching out to city, county, and state leaders for a response to some of his claims. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk joins us now to bring us some of the mixed reactions that we saw today. Kyle.
Well, this press conference has left some asking whether or not the sheriff's plan would actually hold up in court and if it can even be accomplished by mid-October.
This is not economic. This is a drug-fueled protest of people who want no barriers and they want to do whatever they want.
Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich saying enough is enough. If the Department of Transportation won't clear the massive homeless camp on their property, he will.
So this protest is about to end.
The sheriff says the prosecutor's office is working on what's called a warrant of abatement, which takes 20 days. Knezovich anticipates that law enforcement could start removing people, tents, and RVs by October 14th. People refusing to leave will be arrested for breaching the peace. The sheriff says others will be given a bus ticket to a location of their choice. We asked Knezovich how he would pay for that.
Well, there's $25 million that Lisa Brown has at her disposal, and I'm going to ask Lisa for the $25 million to help resolve her mess.
Making it personal, as the sheriff did, is probably part of the problem. This statewide and national challenge to house people is something that is obviously not unique to Spokane.
If the sheriff were to get state funding for his plan to clear the encampment, it would likely be a long legal process with the potential for multiple legal challenges along the way.
I mean, it's all fine to set a goal, but it needs to be realistic to be a real goal. And 600 people won't be rehoused by October 14th. So what do? Go in with guns and that on land that you don't have permission to be on?
The sheriff also went after Julie Garcia of Jules Helping Hands.
Ms. Garcia has held this community hostage for the last 9 months.
The city's not hostage. The city needs to take care of its citizens.
Knezovich says he's also investigating Garcia and plans to follow the money.
Jules Helping Hands does not receive city, state, federal, any kind of funding in any way. So we welcome any investigation that he would like to come forward and have.
Garcia called some of the sheriff's comments ridiculous and invited him to visit the camp.
Come see it. How would you know that these folks are not from Spokane if you've never actually talked with them?
And Garcia says in the meantime, it'll be business as usual for them. This coming Friday, they plan to put up a fence around the camp with a single access point in and out with 24-hour security. Cody.
Kyle, thank you so much. New tonight, Boeing will pay $200 million for misleading the public about the safety of the 737 MAX years after 2 deadly crashes that killed over 300 people. But experts say it's not nearly enough.
That's less than what Airbus paid in a bribery scandal where nobody was hurt. It's a slap on the wrist.
I can tell you that Boeing greatly increased their pain by initially denying what happened.
$1 million will also be paid directly from Boeing's former CEO, Dennis Muhlenberg. The full details are coming up in about 10 minutes. Moving on now to Night Beat with a quick look at the day's top stories. Still tracking tonight, a nationwide arrest warrant's been issued for Charles Bergman for allegedly killing his wife, Teresa. Her body was found in rural Lincoln County overnight. The couple went missing after Charles Bergman picked up Teresa from the Spokane airport Sunday. According to court documents, the couple had been married for 36 years, but Teresa had recently told her husband she was leaving him. Documents also state she was returning from a trip visiting a man named Steve. The Grant and Lincoln County Sheriff's offices say they're using all their resources to find Charles Bergman. In a KREM 2 exclusive tonight, we're learning more about the man killed in the Franklin Park shooting. The victim of that shooting has been identified as 22-year-old Ablos Kios. His family spoke exclusively with KREM 2, telling us exactly what they want people to know about him.
He was a good person. He had a good heart, and he had a long life to live, but he was too young. And all these rumors that we're hearing, saying he was in a gang, he might have caught up in this and that. I just want to put it out there. He was never in that.
Spokane police still have not identified the person or people responsible for his death. Anyone with information is encouraged to call Crime Check. Tonight, the man who shot and killed a Shadle Park graduate in downtown Spokane will now spend 25 years in prison. The courtroom was filled with friends and family of 22-year-old Jacoby Ford, who was shot to death outside of Lucky's Bar in July of 2021 by Michael Lee, a former friend. Ford's mother took the stand before the sentencing and recalled the moment she learned her son was dead.
But you made sure that he couldn't come back when you shot him in the heart. You could have shot him in the leg, ended his career, but you shot him in the heart. My daughter had to watch him reach out for her for the very last time and fall to the ground.
Ford was out that night celebrating his sister's pregnancy. He and Lee used to be friends and their families knew each other. We did see some family members on both sides sharing hugs in the hallway. And an update tonight on the Washington State Patrol trooper shot yesterday in Walla Walla. Right now, the trooper's in stable condition. WSP says the suspect's also been charged with attempted murder. Trooper Dean Atkinson was shot in the face after he was rammed by a car. He then drove himself to the hospital before being flown to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle for treatment. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text the word night to 509-448-2000. We'll send them right to your phone. In national headlines tonight, tennis star Roger Federer now officially retired following an emotional loss at the Laver Cup. Federer announced his plan to retire earlier this year, citing an injury to his right knee. His professional career spanned 24 years. In a post-game interview, he said he's just happy he made it through. Turning now to news overseas in Iran tonight. The government's cracking down on demonstrators following nearly a week of unrest and mass protests over the death of a young woman. The country's morality police arrested 22-year-old Mahsa Amini for wearing an improper hijab. In custody, she suffered a heart attack and died, but her family believes she was beaten to death. Now protests are spilling into the streets as the Iranian people push back. Well, lights went out early tonight on one of Paris's most famous landmarks. The Eiffel Tower shut off its dazzling lights as part of a new initiative to save electricity. It's normally illuminated until 1 a.m. Now, as the country faces power outages, energy rationing will be in effect throughout the winter. Russia is taking steps to try to solidify the territory it has captured in Ukraine. But the United States is pushing back, saying attempts to annex any parts of Ukraine are illegal and a sham, and that the vote to annex the land is predetermined.
When that's complete, we can expect President Putin will claim any Ukrainian effort to liberate this land as an attack on so-called Russian territory.
Russian President Vladimir Putin also vowed this week to use all weapon systems available if his territory is attacked.
As we head through the next few days, we're talking warmer temperatures, more sunshine, but a little bit of an atmospheric haze, and it's all thanks to a weather pattern setting up over the region. We have a ridge of high pressure starting to work its way in, and as that takes over, we are actually going to start pulling a little bit of smoke from some of those fires over the Cascades into the inland northwest. Now, is it enough to have huge impacts on air quality? Not really. I think we stay good through the remainder of Friday into Saturday and even Sunday. I do think we get a little bit of a slight haze on Saturday, not enough to degrade air quality, but enough that you go, huh, that sky's not necessarily as blue as I want it to be. Saturday morning looks a lot like Friday morning did. Mid to upper 40s in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, Deer Park, Newport, and Sandpoint, low 40s. Not all that bad. Colville, you're down in the mid 40s as well by Saturday afternoon. Mid 70s, pretty widespread across the region. Sunday's looking even warmer. Coming up in the full forecast, I've got to dive into some very summer-like weather.
Jeremy, thank you so much. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time. But don't go to bed just yet. Recovery efforts for the float plane that crashed near Whidbey Island are slated to begin Monday. We're bringing you the details of the investigation thus far. Plus, Hurricane Fiona continues its path of destruction, where it's expected to touch down next. Coming up, we're back in about 90 seconds.